Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Gruesome and Grotesque video. As always, I just do these videos randomly whenever I come across something that I read online or through my Google News app, or maybe even something that I just happen to watch that I feel merits posting here within this playlist. This video is going to be a little different, where rather than, let's say, 100% focusing on one person, whatever occurred to them, instead it's going to be a mixture of things. More of the focus is going to be on the house itself where this gruesome act occurred, because as it turns out, just this week, this infamous house is for sale. That's right, there is a chance that you could actually purchase this home that has an infamous, absolutely tragic murder that occurred on there, and it's going to have its 20th anniversary. I hate using that word, but essentially that's the way to say it, right, when it comes to the passage of time associated with this murder. But it has to do with this. You're looking at a picture of it now. Essentially, it's the house that belonged to Scott and Laci Peterson, that infamous murder, and it is now for sale. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that here, and I'll showcase photos of the house as it looks like now and then how it looked like back then, just to show a difference again when it comes to how this case, how this a particular death, how it captivated basically the entire nation, what that house looked like then, and to realize that whoever is moving in there, that's where that person was essentially murdered. So again, let's showcase that information here. So this house belonged to Scott and Laci Peterson. I don't have the exact details again, like when they first purchased it, but it definitely had an infamous date back in 2002, December 24th, 2002 to be exact. That's the date that Laci Peterson, we're looking at a picture of here, disappeared. She was the wife of Scott Peterson. This was a case that essentially riveted the entire country. I remember again reading about it back then, and I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I was younger at the time, and so this was something that it was on my radar, but not so much. But through the passage of time, the more that information came out afterward, that's when I started to truly focus on this. I'm definitely someone that follows a lot of true crime news. So again, with the passage of time and more information coming out, especially after Scott Peterson was considered then the #1 suspect, and then the infamy associated with him almost on the run, getting captured, the subsequent trial, being found guilty, and then just recently being resentenced, that gave this case, this particular tragedy, its life. Like essentially it's been almost 20 years now to this day that this situation occurred, and to this very day it's still making news. But this is why this week the house itself is up for sale. Again, it is on the market. In fact, you're looking at some pictures of how it looks like right now. This is a house that you can purchase, and as far as I can tell, it's still on the market itself for almost $500,000. So if you're in the market there in the Modesto, California area, and you happen to have $500,000, then you'll have a chance to be able to bid on this house. It was interesting to read that this is actually several owners in ever since that infamous murder. I thought that this was a case where somebody held on to it, let's say afterwards, after that murder occurred, and then they just happen to sell it now. But no, apparently it's gone through several owners. But yes, the house itself, it's on the market, and it's supposed to sell pretty quickly, especially with the pricing of houses today, and then the pricing that this house has. It's supposed to be, reading some of the articles, people are stating that it's probably going to be on the market for just a couple of days. And as always, of course, there's going to be that link to it with regards to what occurred within the household. And picturing this, imagine you're there, you happen to be walking through the kitchen, you're in the living room, you walk through the bedroom area. This is the area that Laci Peterson herself used to live. In fact, let's showcase the older photos of how it looked like back then. You can see here that this was the residence of Scott Peterson and Laci Peterson back when they were a happy couple at the time, and then of course things just changed so horribly afterward. I was reading a lot of information again on this case as it occurred, what the lives were, and then the leading up to essentially that infamous date. And as for all indications, it's Laci Peterson was just the most perfect, a beautiful, thoughtful wife that one could imagine. Like she was there, has hosting parties, having friends over, trying to make sure that everything is going well. She was, I believe, a stay-at-home wife, if I'm not mistaken, and soon to be a stay-at-home mother. She enjoyed cooking and then working around the house and then making sure everything was up to keep. And then she was walking the dog. And then, of course, when she got pregnant, then that's when the situation was going to turn to another level where the bedrooms, one of them was going to be turned into an actual baby room, and then there was going to be other stuff, being added on afterward as more children were going to be there. That was the life. That was the indication that you're seeing here through these pictures. Of course, things change afterwards, somewhere along the way, and a jury did find him guilty, where he suddenly decided, Scott did, that he didn't want this life. And when that occurred, that's when he murdered Laci Peterson, and then that's where the rest of this tragic case takes over. Now, the idea is that the murder occurred here in this household. No indication where. Obviously, he hasn't confessed to anything along those lines. But the idea is that, yes, it occurred in this household, and then he transported her body over to this other location, which you're looking at now. This is more of the street address. This is a place where he used to work at. I'm not giving out the addresses, by the way, because you can find them online, but I just still want to keep things a little bit private. But in the back, do you see the very, very back warehouse area? That's essentially where he worked. So the idea is that he murdered Laci Peterson in the house and then took her in his truck over to this place where he created some kind of anchors and then used those anchors to then put her back in the truck and then go out to the sea, claiming that he was going to be fishing out there. And then that's when he was able to then dump her body. And then, of course, her body was found afterward. And then that's when that led to his conviction. But yes, at least you can see in this case, that's where part of the after effects of the murder occurred at his location. But cutting back over to the house itself, again, I include this within the Gruesome and Grotesque video because it looks so perfect, right? Like it looks so beautiful. It looks like a cookie cutter notion of America right here when it comes to your average household. You have 2.5 kids potentially. You have the backyard. You have the pool. You have the fence, the white picket fence, and so on. But it holds a secret. It holds the idea that somebody was gruesomely murdered here within this household, and then that was the life of someone that was looking to have the perfect family life right there. And all it took is just one person to decide no, that they didn't want this, and so they wanted to get rid of someone, and it happened within this very, very household. I would not be able to be in this household. Like if this was on the market and this was something that I had an opportunity to buy, I would just not be able to do that because I could just not escape the idea that who knows where that murder happened. Was it here in the living room? This was the living room, by the way, that was a little infamous because after the disappearance of Laci Peterson, and then the detectives came over and they were interviewing Scott, I remember that they were telling and asking questions to him and giving him information, and he did not seem surprised. He did not seem excited, like, where's my wife? Where's my wife? Like that type of stuff. He just seemed calm, collected. One detective said he was almost annoyed with the questioning, like and I think it was here in this living room area, and then plus here in the kitchen room area, that's where one of the last set of dinners was set by Laci Peterson. There apparently that's where she was going to have a big family feast sometime soon, and she had meticulously, I remember that word, meticulously set everything there. That was really sad to read because you could just imagine her thoughtfully again putting everything in perfect place, the napkins, the utensils, the glassware, everything, because to her she wanted it to be perfect. Like she wanted to have that perfect life right there. Who knew that she had no clue that later on, of course, what would happen to her, but that was like one of the last remnants of one of her actions right there in that kitchen area. And again, I would not be able to escape that if I was living there in that household, realizing that that was the case there. But yeah, just wanted to showcase this bit of news here. So again, if you're in the California area, Modesto area, and you wanted to have a chance to be able to have this household, you'll be able to do so. I doubt that the people that are purchasing this would be unawares of what's happening. So they would know that this would be the former Scott and Laci Peterson home. Very doubtful that they would not, but who knows? But in either case, I was reading also that some of the neighbors there, that they kind of have seen, what happened with the area. Lots of people walking by and taking pictures and just coming by just to see the actual house itself. So anyone that happens to live there later on, they may have to expect that too. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.